With a model railroad, small details can make all the difference between a scene that doesn't look quite right and one that captures a satisfying sense of realism. But often those small details come unpainted and therefore unweathered. Hi everybody, I'm Joe Parker of the Pixel Depot. This channel covers model railroading, including planning, hints, tips, how-tos, and updates. You know, there are lots of detail parts out there, but I decided to try some from a company called Miniprints. Last time I did a mail call video where we took those parts out of the package upon arrival. In this episode, we're going to paint and weather a couple of shopping carts for placement on the Grunge layout. The Miniprints figures are made from 3D printed resin, which provides a really nice level of detail even at very small sizes. They come unpainted and have a blue hue to them when they come. I purchased a few different kinds, so my first step was to give all the figures a base coat of gray primer from a spray can. When doing this first coat, you want to do this in short bursts so that you don't get too much paint on the figures. Normally, before painting parts, I would have washed them in warm soapy water. However, I watched a video from Bernard Helen, the owner of Miniprints, and he said he's never had issues with paint coverage, so I decided to skip that step this time. I'll include a link to that video in the description below. After removing the parts I didn't need for this project, I sprayed the shopping carts with a coat of Rust-Oleum metallic aluminum, again using short bursts to avoid too much coverage. The paint is really too shiny for shopping carts that have been abandoned in an alley, but I'll be toning that down with weathering later. I also hit these with a coverage of dull coat, but any matte finish would do. I did this partially to tone down the shininess, but also to give the parts some tooth for the pastels I'll use to weather them. So let's jump into the nitty-gritty. We'll start with the wheels on this. I'm going to be using Polyscale Grimy Black. Polyscale is no longer available, but I have a collection of it hanging around. You can get something very similar from Micromark. They have a line of paints that includes a grimy black. I'm going to be using a very small micro brush for this. I got these from Micromark as well. And what we're going to do is just give that a quick dip. Use kind of a dry brushing technique here, so we'll get rid of a bunch of this paint because we don't need that much. All I did was rub it off there on the post-it note. I'm also putting on my Optivisor because this is some pretty small stuff here. I'm just gonna touch that with the paintbrush and give it some black. The back side is not as big a deal. This is just to give it the illusion, since it will be far away. Okay, so take care of the wheels on that one. Do the same thing on this one here. Again, all I'm really trying to do is give these a touch, so it gets the impression. There's probably still too much paint on there. Make sure that I got the same things going here. good for those. Now what I've got is a couple of markers here to do the handle. One I'm going to do brown, the other I will do is red. And I'm doing that with the Sharpie because I think it'll give me better control than the paintbrush, quite honestly. When something's this small, paintbrush can be a little difficult. If you're enjoying this video and want to see more, click on the subscribe button to stay up to date. Also, click on the bell so you'll get notified when there's new content available. All right. So now, with the handles painted and the wheels painted, I'm going to try and make this look a little beat up and rusty, certainly less shiny. That's why I've got the different colors of pan pastels here. I'm just going to try and tone this down a little bit. Trying to give it a very careful touch so they don't crush anything. They are a little delicate. Get the gray on there. Let's give it a little rusty tone here. You can see right away that just that little bit kind of gives it a rusty tinge. Which will work well for something that's been sitting in the alley for a while. Go back down here so you can actually see it. And some newer, lighter rust on the back here. As always, we'll use the blending brush to kind of blend everything in here. Do that with the other one as well. Just kind of dabbing here. Blend it around there. And with that, my friends, we are pretty much done. And that's pretty much it. Before we wrap up, just a quick reminder, click on that subscribe button and also click on the bell to get notified of new content. So now I've got some discarded shopping carts that'll add some flavor to the rundown alley that is the grunge. The beauty of using pan pastels for weathering is that if the pieces don't seem rusty or dirty enough, it's really easy to go back and add some more layers of rust and grime. That's all for this episode. If you have thoughts, suggestions, or questions, include those in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and think that others would as well, click the thumbs up to like it and please share it with your friends. Finally, if there are other topics you'd like me to cover on this channel that I haven't mentioned yet, give me a heads up. I'm Joe Parker of the Pixel Depot. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll meet me next time in the train room.
Okie dokie, we're done now.